Uh, Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And
You're not muted. You're good.
Good. I was worried.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, whenever I play the opening video, whether it's the countdown or a trailer, for some reason it mutes DB and I can't unmute him. He has to unmute himself. I don't know why.
And for some reason, it actually undid it itself this time. We're a professional outfit here, after all.
Yes. Well, maybe StreamYard fixed that little problem. But anyway, if you are returning, welcome back. Returning like Arcos here, who
hey Arcos,
showed in here. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do is we critique stuff from our various corners across the United States of America, and we just basically review whatever we feel like reviewing. For a little while we were doing old versus new, and then we
there just wasn't enough new that was worth watching, unfortunately.
No, there wasn't. But then we went into the Tubi rabbit hole for a little bit, and we're coming back out of it again because we subscribe to streaming services, and we pay money for them and got to use them.
Yep.
But yes. So to get us started off for this week, we are reviewing Splash.
Splash, a Ron Howard movie.
Yes, starring Tom Hanks, John Candy, and Daryl Hannah. It was the first Disney movie that was released under their Touchstone label back in 1984. For those of you who don't know, Touchstone was basically it was a separate studio company that Disney started so that they could produce movies that were more of an adult fare. So like rom-coms, dramas, action movies, etc.
Yeah, I think it's because they had a run of movies in the 60s and 70s that were really just so focused on being family friendly that they were kind of just blah.
Yeah. Yes. And of course, if you're not familiar with it, Disney in the 70s and 80s they were struggling. They were on the verge of collapsing until right around when this movie came out, and they brought in Michael Eisner from Paramount to fix the company, and then we had the Disney Renaissance in the late 80s.
Yep. Now, in this case, it is interesting that I can see why people internally may have been opposed to releasing this movie, because I often think like, who is our service for? It's just basically for anybody who just wants to know, is this movie worth your time? I'm going to say like this movie will introduce some concepts to kids that they probably shouldn't hear about quite yet.
Yeah. Yes, this movie is very adult in a lot of places, and I'm not just talking about the nudity. So there's a whole thing in there where with John. So okay, well, let's getting ahead of myself here.
Right. So overall premise of the movie. Yeah. It is another take on The Little Mermaid, which is really funny when you think about it, considering that they made an animated version not too long after this.
Yeah.
In fact, I almost wonder if the success of this movie might have sped that one up a bit.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the movie starts off in the 60s when so you've got what was Tom Hanks's character, Alan Bauer. When he's a kid, he's out on this boat near Cape Cod with his brother Freddie, and Freddie is John Candy.
At least the adult version is.
The adult version is, yes. And so for some reason, Alan decides to jump off the boat and into the water. And when he falls into the water, he sees this mermaid girl. But then they dive in after him and bring him back on the boat. And Mermaid Girl's really sad. And then we flash forward 20 years, and Alan is running the family business, and Freddie is just being what's
kind of a sponge.
sponge. Yeah. He's definitely he's being a sponge. He's driving around in this real fancy car, and he's wearing these real expensive clothes, and the adult joke, real quick, is that Penthouse printed his letter, so he's got all these issues of Penthouse.
He's handing them out at work.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's really funny just how perverted John Candy's character is. Like this movie has honestly a bunch of actors and creators who I usually associate with more like general audience fare.
Yeah,
like Hanks, Candy. I think of as a beloved childhood star of mine. And Ron Howard isn't usually too blue in what he makes.
no, it's usually he makes more uplifting fare, and Arco says, well, considering the poster and the title it doesn't seem to be made for kids. No, this was not made for kids.
No, that's just an initial warning.
Yeah.
Might as well put that at the start. I was just kind of a little startled at how adult this was, because it's one thing to have a character kind of running around in the nude when it's like, oh, they don't actually have clothes. It makes some sense. But it's just like, wow, outright references to Penthouse.
Yeah.
Dear Disney, I never thought this would happen to your studio.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, and it's and but Alan, he's working, but then he gets a call from his girlfriend that she's breaking up with him and moving out, and of course, then not long after that, they're going to he's going to a coworker's wedding, and everybody's asking where his girlfriend is, and he's like keeps telling, no, she's sick, and he's like, okay, she broke up with me, she left me.
Right, and it's kind of interesting. So he doesn't really remember what happened to him after he fell in the water, but there's like this sense that he can't love anybody. Like that was like his deal with his girlfriend, was that he liked being around her and is clearly distraught, but he didn't like love her.
Yeah, because I mean, she asks him if he loves her, or if he loves her, and he's like, well, I love being around you. He didn't say it. It just doesn't. He doesn't actually come out and say that he loves her. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I guess his heart knows. His heart wants another.
Yes. Yeah. And so he gets sad, depressed, and drunk, and so then he decides to hop in a cab and go to Cape Cod, which is like 300 miles from New York.
Yeah. Didn't they say that was like his happy place, basically?
Yeah. And so he's walking around the beach in Cape Cod wearing a tux, and then another cast member I forgot to mention, Hanks runs into Eugene Levy's character, Walter Kornbluth, who is basically seen as a crackpot scientist.
He's trying to prove the mermaid.
Yes, yeah, and so he's got this boat that he's renting from a couple of yokels, so that he can find a mermaid. And then so of course Alan, he gets a boat on he gets on this little boat with this guy, and just basically almost like a little almost a little dinghy kind of thing,
right? Like little rowboat with an outboard motor attached.
Right. Yeah. And but then the motor breaks down, so then the guy driving was like, oh, I'll just swim to shore and come back. It's only a couple of miles so out there, and of course Alan's stuck in he's stuck out on this boat, and he doesn't know how to swim.
So he takes a hammer, starts hitting it, and then the motor springs back to life at full blast, and he's knocked overboard.
Yes, and then of course his life is saved by our mermaid character played by Daryl Hannah, and of course she's just like all over him as soon as they get on the beach.
Yep.
Um, and then she swims off, and of course he's like, "What the heck? You know what's going on?" And of course he has no idea she's a mermaid because
Right.
when she's on land, she's got her legs.
Right. In the rules of the magic are that if she gets doused by water, she turns back into a mermaid.
Yeah, yeah, and but then of course when he fell out of the boat and in the water, he lost his wallet. But then she goes and gets his wallet back, and she swims to New York, and she ends up on the Liberty Island, completely naked, and everybody's like, "Woo!"
Yeah, like so. Of course, she's arrested for public nudity. They call him. They call Alan in, and he just is immediately smitten. And
Yes.
what really struck me as I was watching this was, wait a minute, this is basically Short Circuit with a mermaid, or Splash or Splash or excuse me, a Short Circuit Splash with a robot. I forget which order they came out in.
I think this was first, and then Short Circuit. But yes, yeah.
Because they even had the same thing where she spends a lot of time alone watching TV and gets input,
Yes, input. Yeah.
which means she learns English.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
just like Johnny Five, a lot of her dialogue is very like it sounds like you were raised by TV. Like she said, like I think she says things like I can't remember the specific quote right now, but it's like, yeah, this is a limited time offer or things like that.
Yeah. um, well,
Which now that I think about it, um, Gutenberg is kind of a low rent version of Tom Hanks. So
yeah, makes sense.
it's like if you're just gonna make Splash with a robot, then
Yeah, yeah, just get the lower tier Tom Hanks.
I want Tom Hanks. He's unavailable, sir. They give me his non-union police academy equivalent.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Gutenberg.
Uh,
Yeah, and so then the rest of the movie is basically Hanks, just the two of them just falling madly in love with each other, and of course Freddie kind of sees it too. He's like, "Hey man, what's going on with you?" And of course they had the famous racquetball scene where if you watch the John Candy documentary, you know the story behind that, where the night before they were supposed to film that scene, Candy was out all night drinking with Jack Nicholson, and so he shows up and to film that scene hungover.
yep, it's some peak Tom Candy. It's a very different flavor of Tom Candy than I'm used to because I am like more familiar with his more family oriented movies, but
He normally didn't do the adult stuff. Yeah, like we mentioned before. I
I
think
could think of a couple of movies, but like he definitely leaned more into it. Probably once he had kids.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I remember that the Stripes was probably the only one I can think of where that was more.
There was another one like it's not Big Trouble, but there's like Nothing But Trouble. Like it was not a good movie. I remember buying the DVD of it and thinking it was really unimpressive.
Oh yeah, that one. Yes, yeah, that was Dan Aykroyd directed that one.
Well, you can't win them all.
Yeah. Although he also voiced several characters in Heavy Metal, the animated movie. So there's that too.
Well, as we know, cartoons are made for kids, so it still tracks.
Oh yes, and oh yeah, and Heavy Metal was definitely made for kids.
Or maybe just the immature.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Meanwhile, in the background, you have Eugene Levy's character still trying to track him down and prove that he's not a crackpot. It actually kind of struck me as a little bit of an unusual role for Eugene because I'm kind of used to him being more of like less sinister in his roles. He's usually more of like the straight man, family man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's sinister, but he's also just a bumbling idiot too. He keeps screwing up all the time and then getting himself hurt.
Yeah, but also like he's also like, convinced that he's a brilliant man surrounded by fools. Which, in the case of those lazy longshoremen he hired to help him out with his expedition, he's kind of right. Like,
Yeah,
my favorite scene there is one of them sitting in his sun chair on the deck, and he resurfaces, and
the leg of the chair was on the arrows.
hey, that tube, it lets me breathe. That is one thing I'll definitely say in this movie's favor, is that a lot of the moment to moment dialogue is very well done and funny, just very, very well performed. Like, I was giggling a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this is it's a decent enough little, cute little romantic comedy. If you can get past the more adult oriented stuff that might make some people a little uncomfortable.
Right. Although, as much as we were talking about it, mostly I kind of brought it up because I could see my parents stumbling into this. But also because it is just so shocking to me that some of these actors were involved in a movie that just had Penthouse magazines sitting around.
Yeah.
Maybe just me being more used to their later careers, but still, it's
Yeah.
just mildly startling.
Yeah.
But I actually wonder how they did some of the shots they did, like the underwater scenes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, probably the same way they did in Thunderball. It was similar.
Well, in Thunderball, they were usually wearing wetsuits and had oxygen masks.
Oh, that's
Like,
true. Yeah.
like there was a lot of free swimming happening that looked pretty convincing. Like, it would not
Yeah.
surprise me if some of the scenes with um, Madison, aka Daryl Hannah's character, was used as reference images when they were animating the Little Mermaid. Because, like, there's a scene where they're in a sunken ship and she's swimming
Right.
around it.
Yeah.
And also, like, she did a very good job of um, moving convincingly as she's swimming along with the tail on.
Yeah. Yeah, and although probably some of the wider shots, they probably had like a professional swimmer doing those, but
Probably, but
yeah, but yeah, no, it was pretty convincing. And but yeah, the one aspect that I actually really liked that they didn't overdo was the whole fish out the literal fish out of water, part of it, it was there's just enough of it that it was funny, but there wasn't too much of it where you're like uncomfortable, like, oh come on, don't do that.
not too many embarrassing, not too many like utterly humiliating scenes. Like, just enough for a little bit of flavor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the part when she's eating the lobster, just devouring it right through the shell.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like, as much as I was talking about her talking a bit like a TV thing, she was not like glamp or she wasn't hamming it up nearly as often as Johnny Five was. It was just kind of another just amusing similarity between the two movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but yeah, this movie is currently on Netflix. And of course they actually, I looked it up, they did a sequel to it. It was called Splash 2, spelled TOO. It was a TV movie, and I believe they filmed it at Disney World at Hollywood Studios. I could be wrong about that, but yeah.
Since I've never heard of it before, I'll call that a bad sign.
Yeah.
Was this ever remade? Because it seems kind of shocking that it wouldn't be.
It wasn't remade, and hopefully they don't remake it, because we have enough bad 80s remake movies that are out there right now.
All right, Daniel, when you throw one right across the pitching mound like that, or right across the home plate like that, I got to swing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I my solo review, I finally bit the bullet and I watched the Running Man remake.
Now, I want to just point out, Daniel is not paid for his services here. This is something he has chosen to do voluntarily on his own time and steam. Nobody forced him to.
Right, exactly. Yes. Yeah, so yeah, so I watched the Edgar Wright version of Running Man, Glenn Powell, and from everything I heard, this movie was really bad, and they were not wrong. This movie is really bad.
And I'll just say again, like you heard, the stove is hot.
Stove is hot.
I wonder how hot it is.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, I had some free time and just couldn't find anything really else to watch. I didn't feel like playing any cyberpunk or Final Fantasy. So just watch this.
There we go.
Here we go. But yeah, so this version of the Running Man, from what I've heard, is closer to Stephen King's original novel than the Schwarzenegger version, which isn't necessarily a good thing.
I would say that history has kind of shown us that your best bet when you're making a Stephen King movie is to actually not be true to the original.
Yeah. Yeah, much like with The Shining, but yeah, so in this version of the movie, Glenn Powell plays Ben Richards, and in this, so in the original versions, Schwarzenegger's Ben Richards was a cop who was framed for a crime he didn't commit, and he escapes, but then he gets caught again, and then he and his buddies are put in the Running Man. In this version, Ben Richards is a blue collar working guy. He can't hold down a job because he cares about people too much. And so his last job, he turned in the employer because they're all working under heavily irradiated areas. And so he lost his job because of it. And he's
that's right. This isn't like a not too distant future where there's been like a nuclear attack or something, right?
Right. Yeah. And so of course Ben is married, and he's got a 2-year-old daughter, and the daughter has the flu, and of course he doesn't have any money to buy medicine for her, and his wife is working. From what it sounds like, she's kind of working, kind of sort of like a hostess, like a Japanese hostess club. She's kind of working that kind of a job, and so of course Ben hates the fact that she's working that kind of job,
so not quite prostitution, but not too far off.
Right? Yeah. And so he's at home, he's watching all these different game shows, and so Ben decides, oh, I'm gonna try out for one of these game shows, maybe make a little bit of money.
So instead of The Price is Right, he decides, oh, the Running Man, that sounds fun.
Well,
Doctor said I need to lose some weight.
Yeah. Well, no, he actually makes a point, point to his wife and everybody else that like he doesn't want to do the Running Man. He'll do any other show but the Running Man. But then as soon as he goes through the tryouts, they see how like he's got this huge chip on his shoulder. He's pissed off all the time about everything, and so the network executive, who's and his name is Dan Killian, he's played by Josh Brolin, Thanos. And of course, in the original version, the Schwarzenegger one, Killian is played by Richard Dawson, who's an actual game show host. And I will say probably the biggest thing in this movie that the biggest thing this movie is lacking that the original had was the whole integration of the television show and the host. You really don't get that at all with this movie. So once Ben gets into the Running Man, and he's in there with these two other people, and of course we learn later on that like all three of them fit like a different archetype. So if you've ever watched like reality TV show, everybody who's on that reality TV show is a personality type. And when they cast those reality shows, they always make sure to find people with those personality types. And it's basically the same thing here. You got one guy who's just like totally nonchalant, and doesn't really care. He gets killed in the first couple of days, and then you got another kid. The other one is just kind of like living the high life, and party hardy and everything, and then they get killed within like I think 10 days. Because that's the other thing too, is it lasts for 30 days, which I don't remember the original one being 30 days. I remember being like 3 days.
Yeah, if that long, because
Yeah.
you were gonna die quick.
Right. Yeah. And of course the other aspect of it too, the thing that the original had that this movie doesn't, was the hunters. Well, the hunters are in this movie, but they're not like they are in the Schwarzenegger version. Like the Schwarzenegger version, they're almost like video game villains.
Right, like I remember I was comparing them to like comic book characters mixed
Yeah,
with
and
wrestlers.
yeah, and this one they're just like nondescript soldiers, except for the leader, who's the one guy on the poster wearing the mask with the sunglasses on, and you don't know anything about that guy. Like or you don't find out anything about him till the end of the movie, and then by the time you find out who he is, he's like, I don't care. And of course, like the other part of it too is Killian. It doesn't host the show. It's the guy in the tux on the poster. He's the host of the show, and it doesn't work because on the original you had like Killian talking to all the audience members, and they're like, oh, who do you think's gonna do this? And there was that satirical part of it, and this movie didn't have that. And it's the tone is very different. It's where like it's very dark.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a bit more like over serious.
It is, yeah. Which surprises me from an Edgar Wright movie, like because Edgar Wright's pretty like. I mean, this is the guy that did the Cornetto movies. I
I
mean,
was gonna say, Daniel, for people who don't know that name off the top of their heads,
yeah. I mean, he did Shaun of the Dead. He did Hot Fuzz, and then did all did some really funny comedy like spoof movies, satirical spoof movies. Of course, then he did like Baby Driver, which was we didn't care for that movie.
right.
It was all right, and then of course he was the original director on Ant-Man, but they fired him because they didn't like what he wanted to do. And then there was another movie he did that I watched that I didn't like, which was Last Night in Soho, which was a like feminist horror movie.
Well, wow, Daniel, you said so many words in a row that make me interested in a movie.
But to get back to this movie, like it's overly serious, and it's like everything's focused on Ben Richards. Like it's mainly just him. Like at first he's like just trying to hide, basically. Like he realizes that like the only way for him to win this is to just like find some place to lay low and hide. And
Which of course is bad television, so I imagine they aren't going to let him do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's a huge crux of it is, wherever he goes, they always, find a way to find him. And of course, and then he becomes this like revolutionary, folk hero, even though in his mind he's like, I'm just trying to make some money so that I can, give my family a better life. And it's just
You're making me immediately think of the life of Brian.
It is kind of like the life of Brian. only not funny. Man.
You're individuals. Think for yourselves. We're individuals.
We're think for ourselves. Yeah, but yeah, I mean this. Yeah, and then the ending was so stupid. It was not earned at all. Like the ending just was terrible. Where they have this whole thing where like it's the whole third act is just completely rushed, and they have this whole thing on this plane and where there's fighting and everything, and then Ben Richards, they actually offer him the network offers him his own TV show, and your family's gonna be set for life and da da da, but he's like, no man, I want to burn it all down and da da da. And then it looks like the plane gets shot down, but like he somehow gets into the escape pod because there's this other character in there who has this kind of like YouTube channel where he's like exposing the Running Man and everything, and so they kind of do this Deus Ex Machina where he pops in and says, "Oh, you don't see that? He got out in the escape pod, and and all this." It's just like, oh god, it's just, oh,
It just sounds kind of irritating.
It is, yeah. It's just, I understand not one. I think I said this before. I don't know if I said this in the review or if I said it before the show. I can understand not wanting to do a 1-for-1 remake and trying to do something different, but this is not the way to do it.
Right. I mean, I kind of understand if Stephen, like, actually, this keeps happening with Stephen King lately, doesn't it? Where like they'll have an original beloved version of one of his stories, and then he gets angry and tries to get it made to his style, and then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. Like there was some horror movie that came out last year that was kind of in a similar boat, where it was a Stephen King novel that was like finally getting a remake or an adaptation after all these years, and then it just bombed hideously.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It was like 7 steps or something like that. 200 steps. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, and they did that with The Shining, where Stephen King famously hates The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick's version of it. So they did a TV movie about The Shining, like in the I think mid to late 90s, and I think it was okay. I've never watched it, but it was all right. But yeah, I cannot recommend this movie at all. Skip it. It's just, no, don't watch it. Just stick with the Schwarzenegger version.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which is, honestly, in most cases, that's usually the preferred advice for any movie,
yes.
really.
Yeah.
If it originally had Schwarzenegger and it no longer has Schwarzenegger, stay home.
Yeah.
It's a handy little memory trip. Trick. I am tongue-tied tonight. It's a handy little memory trick. However, it's not a mnemonic.
Yes. Johnny Mnemonic.
So this one I picked out just because it's a name I had heard, but I honestly didn't know anything about it. This movie cover was all over rental stores when I was a child, so I saw it many times. I never knew what it was about. It's just on Netflix at the moment, so I said, why not?
Yeah. I think I watched this movie in college, which would have been 20 years ago, and I remember seeing it popping up on TV every now and then. But yeah, this is a mid-90s cyberpunk sci-fi movie where Keanu Reeves plays the titular Johnny. Of course, the first time Keanu Reeves played a character named Johnny in a cyberpunk dystopian story.
Yeah, let's see here. So this thing was written by Robert Longo. That's honestly not a name I'm immediately familiar with.
Yeah, and or directed by Robert Longo, and then
Did I say written by? I meant directed by. Sorry.
that's sorry. Yeah, I've never heard of him either, but it was written by William Gibson, who wrote the short story that the movie is based on. And for those of you who don't know, William Gibson also wrote Neuromancer, which is like the prototypical archetypal cyberpunk story. It's got like all of the all the cliches and tropes that you see in a cyberpunk story really started with Neuromancer. And to a certain extent Blade Runner before it. But this movie, Johnny is basically a data courier. He has an implant in his head. Of course, the movie takes place in the distant future of 2021.
What 2021? You think in the year 2021 it's going to be a major U.S. city is going to be a horrible dystopian hellhole with international gangs running things? Come on.
Come on, yeah.
As a disease ravages the earth. Come on.
Yeah. And having video calls with people.
Yeah, totally unrealistic.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. So in this future world, the half the population suffers from a disease called NAS, or as they call it, the Black Shakes, and it's kind of like I guess this universe is sort of like AIDS or tuberculosis.
It kind of seemed like it was a more neurodegenerative disease.
Yeah. Well, I was with kind of AIDS, like just like the epidemic portion.
Oh, okay,
of it,
yeah, the society warping epidemic.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. It's a neurologic. I can't remember what it all stood for, but yeah. But you're right. Yeah, it was a neurological condition, and Ghost in the Shell rips it off in standalone complex.
There's a lot of this movie where, as I was watching it, I'm thinking to myself, boy, a lot of anime and video games kind of owe this movie a check.
Yeah, yes, yeah, including Cyberpunk 2077, because a weapon that is used in this movie is also in that game. But to get back to the movie, so Johnny, the plot, Johnny is a data courier, and so he stores information in an implant in his head, but it only holds 80 gigabytes.
I'll give the movie credit for something that came out in 1995, I think. Yeah, 95. It was kind of futuristic for them to mention gigabytes in an implant that small.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking like it only stores 80 megabytes of data.
All right, yeah. But it stores he has, it has 80 gigabytes, and then he has like a dual storage thing which ups it to 160. But he's hired to transfer.
And part of the reason for this is that this is done is that it's a way to securely transport information without it being able to be intercepted. Like if you try to just email it or whatever,
right?
Rival corporate gangs could end up intercepting.
Right.
So that's why the system exists.
Yes, and of course the couriers don't see the data. They don't know what's in there, and they're given they have a passcode that they're given. And in Johnny's case, it's a series of 3 images from a television.
Yeah, from some anime.
Yeah, what kills me is they're faxing it off.
Yeah, they couldn't quite see the curve entirely. The other thing was we kind of forgot to mention Johnny's deal himself. He's been a courier for a while. He's actually an amnesiac, and he is trying to save up to get the treatment to recover his past.
Right. Yeah, and of course his agent, he talks to his agent. He's like, well, he needs like I can't remember what it was, like a million or million of whatever currency it was, but yeah. So the other part of it too is that the data that he's got to transport is 320 gigabytes, and if he goes over his storage limit in the head, then he gets what's called data seepage, and then it starts to kill him. So he has to get it out, I think, in like 2 days.
Right.
And
Like it is kind of funny when he checks in at this one airport. We have detected signs of brain leakage. Please report to the nearest hospital. And he just smiles politely and says, "Okay, thank you," and
yeah,
moves on
yeah,
with his day.
yeah. uh, but yeah. So of course, the a lot of people are after Johnny because of the data that he's carrying is very important, including the yakuza, who are basically running this pharmaceutical company, because the people who used to work at the pharmaceutical company stole this data and gave it to him so that he could transfer it to the people who need it. And I don't know. I don't want to spoil what the data is because you do find out
Yeah,
what he's carrying in his head.
right. It is actually very pivotal.
Yeah, and of course, along the way, he runs into some rather colorful characters, like Dina Meyer's character Jane, she's like a wannabe bodyguard who is suffering from the disease that's ravaging the world.
Right.
Um,
They end up being unwilling travel partners.
yeah, and for those of you, uh, well, many of you will remember Dina Myers. Is it Myers or Meyer? Dina Meyer.
Meyer.
Meyer. Yeah, Dina
Only a
Meyer.
single Meyer.
Yeah, she played Dizzy in Starship Troopers.
Oh, I thought she was familiar. Okay.
Yeah, and of course he also meets the leader of this resistance group, J Bone, who's played by Ice T.
Who, okay, like he eventually became a better actor, but in this one, boy, is his delivery flat.
Definitely reminiscent of his acting in New Jack City. um, but um, but yeah, and then so yeah, basically they have to. Johnny's got to figure out how to get the information out of his head before it kills him, and it's just basically this one long bad thing after another keeps happening, um, so it's a decent, I think, decent enough cyberpunk sci-fi story. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination, especially the third act. It gets a little ridiculous.
I mean, I often try to look for like thematic similarities between the movies we watch.
Yeah,
I would not have thought that features a scene where an unnatural ocean creature is kept in a tank.
yeah.
Because like there's a cyborg dolphin that I'm pretty sure like that it's helping with the hacking at one point, which
Yeah.
is like that is like the most 90s/80s thing ever.
Oh yeah, yeah. uh um Another actor I want to mention real quick is the one, the head of the yakuza, who pops in every now and then. He's played by Takeshi Kitano, who is also known as Beat Takeshi, and he's pretty well known in Japan. He was a video game developer.
Hmm.
Yeah, JonTron did a video about one of his games.
Oh, Takeshi's challenge, right?
Yes, yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Huh.
He was also, to go into another cyberpunk, he played Aramaki in the boss in the live action Ghost in the Shell, uh, one with Scarlett Johansson.
Wow, I'd completely forgotten that movie was a thing, and I
A
was about to
thing.
ask. I was about to ask, like, wait, was that like a made in Japan one?
Yeah, when I saw that movie in the theater, I was the only one there.
That tracks.
Yeah.
I also say I'm pretty sure that dolphin was voiced by Frank Welker.
Oh, I'm sure he probably was. Yeah.
Because like I know how he sounds when he's making dolphin noises thanks to watching Futurama commentary tracks. That really just like hearing him on there like talk about all the animal voices he did, just like you realize just how much of what you think an animal sounds like if you grew up in the 90s is actually just like Frank Welker doing animal sounds.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, like I think I can give this thing like a bare recommend. The biggest thing is that because it's only 90 minutes long, it definitely does not outstay its welcome, which is always appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you could definitely get your fun out of it. I think also like actually I'd seen this like scene referenced before, so now I actually know what it's from. The whole "I want room service" thing is he's having a
legitimate crash out.
yes, because it's like he just wants to live a good like a just wants to improve his lot in life, and just all this awful stuff is happening to him.
Yeah.
Like I want to drive the nice car, and I want to have the 10,000 a night hooker, and I want room service, which I'd seen that out of context without the rest of it before. I was like, what the hell is that scene?
Yeah.
And now I know what the hell that scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we'll watch a movie that's just kind of average, and it'll be like, yeah, I guess we can sort of recommend it. This is more just like, if you don't really have anything else on your list to watch, then go ahead. You'll have fun.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Agreed.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, all that good YouTube stuff. Buy some books, and we'll see you next week. Night, everybody.
Good night.